Late night thoughts, Brian and Michael Harlow. We gotta mention Harlow because you were just saying to me that you answered to both, right, Mike?
Yes, although I prefer not Mike.
You prefer not Mike, my bad. I already messed up and we're off to a bad start. But anyway, you guys are late night thoughts and you're obviously a duo, the two of you working together. And from listening to your music, I really want to know, how would you personally describe your sound and what artists influence it?
It's a really
Great question.
loaded question.
So right now, we're kind of like in a transition from being like in our first, EP. We were very like acoustic based, like it was just guitar and
Two
vocals.
dudes and a guitar.
Yeah, and that was a sound that was kind of came out of like the ease of like just just being us, and we went into the studio and didn't have a lot of experience, so
We weren't thinking about anything that we weren't doing in the writing of the song, so we weren't thinking about drums and bass and piano and a horn section, or none of that was coming to mind.
And then our second EP, we started bringing that stuff like really strong, and we loved it. Like it just brought a new energy to it, and we loved performing with like more instruments behind us. It just gives it a different kind of energy.
Gives it a life.
Yeah. So now we're trying to incorporate all of that
into our songwriting.
Yeah.
Right.
Keeping the acoustic roots while expanding the sound into a folk pop arena.
Kind of like embracing the bigness of some of that music.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I've been using the sentence. It's like Mumford and Sons, but take out the banjos and the mandolins.
Okay.
All that, and add a little emo soft boy.
Gotcha. Would you say, like, to clarify, your sound has kind of become a little bit more orchestrated? Like, you started off more like acoustic, you said, Brian, and then you've started to include more sounds into it. So it sounds like you've kind of progressed in that sense.
Absolutely. We're very excited about our evolution as artists, and it's something we think about from time to time because we want to be doing this the rest of our lives. And with that in mind, we want to continue to evolve over all that time. So it's fun to be kind of taking this first bigger step of evolution, musically, sonically.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And I'm curious too, because this was mentioned on your Spotify bio specifically. It says that, Michael, you are the music and harmony, and Brian is the lyrics and melody. So what does that mean, and how does it come together for y'all?
So we don't like to start a song the same way every time, just because I heard this like great quote. I can't remember. I think it was Alicia Keys. She said, like, if you start a song the same way every time, if you start writing it the same way every time, it's gonna come out like in a similar way. It's gonna come out the same. So we've started songs with just a drum beat. We've started songs with just melody. We've started songs with just lyrics. And there's so many different avenues to like shoot down. And it's whatever like comes naturally.
I'd say like our strengths, the reason that we work so well as a duo is this kind of symbiosis of, I have a really strong instrumental background growing up and strong kind of ear for harmony and kind of framing something in that way. And Brian is an incredible lyricist and has that ear for like pop melodies that are interesting enough to not be like basic and boring by the second time around, but still like very accessible in their, in the pieces of them that have simplicity. And when we start writing, it'll come from one place, and it's kind of like springboards back and forth. It rarely happens that like the entire song is presented by one of us to the other, and then the other person is like, sick, that's great. It's more like, here's a guitar part, Brian. Do you have a melody for this, or lyrics that represent this feeling that you're feeling? Or I'm gonna walk in with a chorus and be like, what are the chords? I know how it goes, but what are the chords?
Yeah, it's like completing each other's thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, Michael, that you mentioned that symbiotic relationship, because that's also something that I think was marketed in your bio. So I think that's a really cool way to approach working as a duo, especially like you said, bouncing things off of each other and filling in the gaps where you can.
Yeah.
I would not be writing the same songs without the other half.
Yeah, same.
By a long shot.
I sense a lot of love between you guys.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to know about the time you guys first met. I think it was something about a class that you had together.
Yeah, we took this class.
Protest through song.
Yeah, and it was with an amazing professor. Her name is
Paula Musigates.
Paula Musigates. And
She's the best.
She was such a big influence on us because, you know, we got into college and neither of us were really thinking that we were going to be musicians or artists even. And I think it was for many reasons that class that influenced us to keep going in this direction, because we were learning about the effect that music has on society. And I always saw it as kind of like a hobby, you know, something fun to do, and something that was like cathartic to do, like just for my own
self-therapizing.
Yeah, exactly. But never really thought about how it can help other people. And that class, the protest music class, was all about, you know, the ways in which it affects society and
advances it.
Yeah, and how it can reflect the times and, you know, push a movement forward. So it was kind of a magical experience, and, you know,
and the final project for the class was write a song if you want. It was like a lot of things. It was like you could write a protest song, you could create a presentation about it, whatever.
Yeah.
So Brian took on that songwriting, and actually that song is another iteration of that song is the song "Help" that was on our second EP, which is about feeling lonely and the fact that everyone feels lonely sometimes, and it's okay to be asking for help. That seems like a relevant.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious now because Brian, you mentioned it. Did you guys not go to college with the intention of studying music? Were you studying something else?
Neither of us are music majors.
I was a politics major, mostly because it was like at the time that we entered college, it was like right before the 2016 election, and tensions were pretty high, and I was interested in current events, but also it was kind of just like the easiest one to finish at some point. It's like after that class, which was our second semester of freshman year, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, and didn't really care about anything else. So
I came from a similar angle. I actually thought about going to conservatory as a drummer, which was my main instrument. And then decided, nah, I don't want to become a musician. I'm going to go to college, do something else. Here I am. In the end.
Here you are.
And that class was so awesome. And I actually just loved Professor Musigates as an educator and as a kind of muse. Musigates.
We both took 4 more of her classes.
I took every single class she offered, except
boy.
for some deep music history from the Baroque era that I just didn't want to learn about. And taking all those classes, I needed a few more to get my American Studies major. So it was really, and then Musigates became my advisor, like major advisor, which was really awesome. That was that. But yeah, we knew we wanted to do this probably like mid sophomore year.
Yeah.
We started a band actually with not Late Night Thoughts. It was called Odd Bodies. Yeah, all the real fans will know. Odd Bodies with Ben Astrachan and Ben Corman. There's plenty of Bens at Brandeis, but those two are great. And then priorities were different for all of us, and we wanted to kind of go in really deep on music, and so we ended up just being the two of us. But when we decided to form Late Night Thoughts, it was like, okay, let's do this.
Like, let's take it more seriously.
Yeah,
let's go hard. Yeah.
Where did you get the name for Late Night Thoughts, by the way?
We were just like going back in chats, like trying to find the origin, and it was like the whole summer we were apart, and we were like throwing names at each other, and it really just came out of like the fact that a lot of the ideas, like for the themes of our songs, came, you know, late at night when we were just hanging out in our dorm rooms, and it
was like end of the day, just the two of us sitting with the guitar.
I think a lot of like our most honest thoughts happen when we are so tired that like our brains kind of go into this like almost dreamland, but not
No filter.
quite there. And yeah, there's no filter in it. You start to really analyze what matters to you. So that's where it comes from.
Awesome. I like that analogy a lot. Like analyzing or thinking of what really matters, when those thoughts are late, obviously pun intended. Like when those thoughts are late and you just have nothing else really to focus on, it's just you and those thoughts.
Yeah.
We put a lot of intention into our lyrical content. That we want to always be saying something, like never waste a word.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of aligns with that. Like some musicians will use the lyrics and the melody as like an avenue to get the whole kind of package of the song across. But I think we kind of balance packaging the lyrics and delivering the song kind of in that way.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed from looking you guys up to your catalog of work, I would say, you have 2 EPs out. One of them, your first one was Moonlit Memories, and that came out in 2018. I assume while you guys were still at school. And then your last EP, Worth It, came out 2019. And it seems like you got a lot of praise from Moonlit Memories. And I was curious to know what the reception was like from that first EP and how you were able to ride that success and keep other projects coming.
We released Shit Happens in, was it like February?
Yeah,
January of 2018.
Late January.
And the story starts a little earlier. We were the only band on campus, essentially. So Brandeis, not a big school, but big enough that like
3,500.
Oh, there's like the people who are performing at the the bar on campus, their diner, whatever you can call it, the Stein, if you know. But playing there, playing like the one coffee house venue on campus, and building up a lot of buzz about us. And then when we were about to release Shit Happens, like we felt this kind of like tingling amongst all of our social networks and whatever, and we released it, and it popped off. It did really well, and the love that we got back from our community after we released it, I think was really affirming for both of us, that like we can create music and it can help other people and it can be nice for other people and it can be sustaining for us. So after that, and then the rest of the EP, and like you said, it was well received. I think our initial kind of community support helped lead to a lot of what I'd call algorithmic success. In that, like, people are finding Late Night Thoughts on their Discover Weekly and on their release radar and daily mixes, and that that helps a ton. Like, we have to believe that the music we're putting out is good music, otherwise why bother? But good music doesn't always get heard by a lot of people.
100%.
We're just in this age of like anyone can put out a song, so to have that success from the first project kind of feels like a big open door that we can keep walking through and walking into.
And it seems like you've opened a couple of doors, because from one of your singles, Postcard Park, excuse me, was mentioned in a publication called Ear to the Ground. And the writer had said that the song, I have the statement here, he said it's got this ethos to it that you don't hear too often with a lot of new releases. He said the lead vocal has just the right amount of subtlety combined with precision pronunciation. The balance is a sound that pulls the listener in to hear what's next, all while feeling soothed into relaxation. So what was that? Like, how did you guys feel seeing something like that?
Awesome. It's to get praise like that, it always feels great. But I would say what makes me feel even better is when someone someone just random finds us on Spotify and messages us saying, I've been going through a really tough time and this song helped me get through it. That to me is like the ultimate like thanks that we can get.
A funny note, though, about Postcard Park is when we were kind of discovering its sonic identity and working on it, with one session we kind of just went off the deep end for fun to see what it would become.
We put in like trap beats,
like really
Yeah.
like trap percussion and drums with like the rest of the song as you hear it.
Mhm.
And we said that we came up with a new genre called trap yoga.
Ooh, okay, that's cool.
And then we decided that we absolutely don't want to release it like that because that's not. But the kind of what that writer was saying about kind of that soothing calm that comes with it actually aligns with that like kind of yogi sound.
Yeah. What's a yogi sound? Like, is that different from yoga? I'm confused.
No, yogi is like a person who practices a lot of yoga.
Okay,
So,
guys, I don't do yoga like that, so I wouldn't know. So thank you for enlightening me, Harlow.
You got it, dog.
And we've kind of mentioned it too about your background at Brandeis and being in college. How important was it for you guys to include your college experience in your music? Because I think that was something else I noticed.
It was really important to us. I mean, like at the end of college, I would say that we were very focused on, saying goodbye to our friends and thinking about, how it had brought us together and all the other great things that had happened for us there. And we wanted a way to say thank you to all those people and to the place and for the experiences. So it felt really good to be able to put something out at the end and, kind of what's the word? Earmark? No. Tag the end there. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like the end of the song,
Watermark.
Yeah.
I used to say when I was graduating, it was like my swan song.
Yeah.
And the title of our second EP, Worth It, which we put out, like, we had a release party for Worth It during our senior week before graduation.
Yeah.
Like, that's when
cool.
it came out. And the meaning of the words "worth it" were both like about our 4 years at Brandeis and the journey we had been on and the ups and the downs and we made it to where we are and whatever it is, like, it was worth it. And then also kind of a statement about the decision we were making leaving Brandeis to go into being professional musicians and work our asses off for years and not know if we'll ever really like make it, but believe that we can. And going on that journey was a journey that we knew was worth it as well. So it was kind of
both past and present tense. It was worth it. It will be worth it.
And it's still worth it.
Yeah.
And it's definitely worth it.
It's still worth it. Let's talk about your YouTube channel a little bit. You guys do a lot of covers on there. Is there a specific reason why? And I saw that the most recent one you did was My Body by Young the Giant. So what's going on with that?
We love doing covers. It number one, it really helps with maintaining our audience and just like keeping people involved. It also it teaches us a lot about production in many different ways. So when we go in and analyze the song and see like which parts are really important, we then like take little parts from other songs and kind of put them into our own music. And it's almost like it's like case studying each one individually. So that's just another important thing that it adds for us.
I'd say we're also community people in general. We have a really strong musical community of friends that like are all extraordinarily talented. If you look throughout some of the videos, and actually we have one that's going to come out in a few weeks that's amazing. There's often other people who are singing or playing with us. Mm-hmm. And we in our free time, we're making music with our friends. Like those videos are just like captures of another piece of our life. And part of the reason of having the YouTube channel, you might have noticed we also had like an introductory "Hi, we're Late Night Thoughts" video. Mm-hmm. Is to like, people like the music and they look at the different places they can find us to see like, oh, what are they about? What do they get up to? Like, these videos. That's like something that is part of our life, but both professionally and also just for fun.
Mm-hmm. So, where else have you guys been pretty active on? Speaking of those different platforms, have you guys been on TikTok? A lot of bands I know have been on TikTok recently.
Dabbled. Oh,
we've dabbled in TikTok. It's
not our forte, and we're gonna wait to dig in a little deeper until we feel we're in like a promotional period. Like when we're getting ready to release an EP, then like for the month leading up to that, we'll probably make a stupid amount of TikToks and only start enjoying it like in the last week, you know?
Yeah.
No, it's there's a definite learning curve there, but we're very heavy on Instagram, and we really started out on Facebook, but we got into Instagram and we're really comfortable there, and we love posting YouTube videos now. We started doing that more during quarantine.
We essentially bought ourselves a mobile recording studio for my bedroom because when COVID hit, we were like, we're never going to get in the studio again. Oh my God, how are we going to record our music? So we bought a bunch of shit, and now we can do whatever we want with it.
And I think a lot of people don't know this, but Spotify's so popular, Apple Music's so popular, but the number one music streaming service is YouTube.
Yeah, I have heard that actually.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free, and I've heard they build a really strong algorithm too for whatever your preferences are. So I guess we're just shamelessly plugging YouTube Music over here.
We'll accept a sponsorship. If you're listening.
All right. We'll throw it out there. Sponsor them. Late Night Thoughts at Late Night Thoughts, wherever you find them. YouTube. Love. And the next thing I want to touch upon too is why New York? Why did the both of you decide to move in together and relocate to New York City?
Well, we moved in together senior year of college because it was about damn time.
Yeah. It's a really easy way to just, like we were saying, like late night thoughts come up, and then it was so convenient to just, for me, like living on the third floor, just go downstairs and be like, hey, like I just thought of this, and what do you think of this? So it makes things easier just to be living together. We moved to New York mainly because my girlfriend had moved here the year before. Mm-hmm. She had graduated the year earlier, and she's a software engineer working at Mashable, so she was already living here. And then it was kind of a conversation.
Not a bad place to be as a musician.
It's a really good place to be as a musician. There's publishing companies, and we had meetings with BMI here, and with a lot of like people from the Brand X community end up moving to New York. So as soon as we got here, we had a huge fan base like already built in.
And that's cool.
And we did some like preparation. We had some concerts in New York before we moved here,
were seniors.
So that we could start to build even before we arrived. And then our first show here, we had 80 people come at the Delancey, and we were
ecstatic.
We were very happy. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask like what you've been able to accomplish since moving there. And I noticed you guys had a couple live shows before COVID and everything. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were playing like about a gig a month because we, want to give time we want everyone to come to every show. And we would put a lot of work into keeping each subsequent show like very different and very new from the one before. We also got to play some So Far Sounds shows. Which was really super fun. Cool. So Far is like So Far?
I'm not familiar with them, no, actually.
Oh man, you should get yourself some tickets. It's basically a like structured DIY concerts.
Oh, cool.
That aren't concert venues. So we played a So Far show at an art gallery after hours, and
an abandoned art gallery.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And So Far sells the tickets to strangers.
Okay.
And they curate the bill as well. So there's always 3 artists playing, 30-minute sets, and you don't know who's playing until you show up to the concert.
That's really, really cool. I like that.
As an artist, we got like an entire room of new ears to listen to our music, which was really special.
So valuable.
And actually, we played one show. And then someone reached out to us because of it. And then a few So Far shows later, we actually accompanied this guy in his proposal to his now fiance.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now wife. You're right. Now wife.
They got married.
Wow. You guys are really making dreams come true.
It was such an awesome moment.
It was so special.
Honestly.
But basically, we've just been we were trying to play a ton because when you play more, more people hear, and some of those people work in the industry, and their job is to go to shows and listen to new bands and scout essentially. And we felt like we were killing it. So the show right before the show, we played a show on
March 7th.
March 7th. Yeah, right.
It was our first New York sold out show, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was terrific.
Dang.
It might have been a first better event, but it was awesome.
Oh boy, that's such like a bittersweet moment because, like you said, that was your first like sold out New York show, and then everything hits. Like, but I mean, you guys have been riding. I assume that momentum. Like, it doesn't. Obviously, it takes a huge hit for artists not performing right now, but I assume you guys have found other ways to kind of keep your momentum going. Otherwise,
yeah,
we've been writing a lot and working on on the production of our next project, and we've also found some virtual gigs that we've been able to play. Both in New York and Boston, and also just other parts of the country because of Zoom.
would you say this is something I'm just thinking of now. Where do you feel more like rooted or at home? Because you've been in New York for some time, but obviously you have roots in Boston and a background in Boston. Is it kind of split, or would you say there's one you prefer over the other?
I am a Boston boy through and through, but not the city of Boston. I grew up in suburbia. So, because I grew up in suburbia, Manhattan is not my default vibe. I'll say that much.
Same.
I'm actually like really excited where I'm going to move to Brooklyn next year. And
yeah, we're both moving to Brooklyn. It's great.
It's just going to be more open, a little more spacious. That kind of element of New York has felt really stifling to me on a personal level. Not that I'm having a bad time here, but my relationship to like Manhattan itself is one that is not spectacular.
It's not for everybody.
And I'm a huge sap. And I love my hometown and like my home street and the park I went to growing up. So my roots are definitely deeply rooted in Newton, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Brian, would you say the same or something different?
Yeah, I think like we make homes in so many different places. I consider like where I grew up in Scarsdale as a home. Like my summer camp was a home. College was a home, and this has become another like community. Like everywhere you build a community, kind of feels like a home. So I feel rooted in all those places still, and I'm sure as we continue living life, 4 years in college will feel very different from maybe like 10 years living here. So it's nice to feel like you belong in so many places.
Mm-hmm. I think this is an appropriate time to bring this up because I've been ruminating over this for like the past 48 hours. Because Brian, I saw you're moving out sooner, like at the end of the summer. You can share for reasons. You can say you don't like Michael anymore. Like it's all it's all fair game. But you have a roommate bucket list I saw, and I just want to know like. Oh, there it is. I gotta know what's on the roommate bucket list.
Oh, so many great things. All right. I'll rattle some of them off. Binge Lord of the Rings extended cuts. Pillow fight. 80s cult movie night.
Tuck each other in.
Yeah. Matching tattoos. Axe throwing. A blanket fort. Time capsule. Creating a comic strip. Road trip. Yoga class. Scaling the building.
Hit all 5 boroughs in one day.
Yeah.
Oh no! Awesome.
So trick or treat in full costume off season.
What started out as kind of a silly idea became this epic list. And
that's not silly. That is serious business, my friend.
Yeah,
it is serious business. And we have another roommate, Spencer.
He's right over there.
Hey, Spence.
The idea was like, I'm moving in with my girlfriend, and I feel like this is probably she's the last roommate I'm going to have, and to be able to be living with friends is something I was so excited for when I was going to college, because my sister is 4 years older than me. So like since high school, I was like kind of an only child-ish, and it was really nice to be living with my boys, and
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna miss it. So
Yeah.
that's
the dawning of a new era.
yeah.
But you're gonna go out with a bang, clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
An appropriate
exactly,
close to the
exactly.
chapter.
And Michael, something I want to ask you directly is how do you juggle all these instruments? Because I'm just gonna read them off here, or at least what you've played in the past. Yeah, physically, obviously. You've got drums, piano, guitar, ukulele, melodica, bass, banjo, and I think my favorite is definitely the didgeridoo. I'm probably not the first person to say that, but how does like one person just how do you have the mentality to just learn all of that? Like that's insane to me.
It's crazy.
I don't know. I have no good answers to this. It makes sense to me. I think a big piece of it comes from I spent my very early childhood in piano lessons. Didn't practice at all. Didn't learn how to read music, but I did watch my teacher's fingers a lot and kind of develop a visual understanding of like theory on the piano and like how close notes are and how they sound together and all that kind of subconsciously. And then in sixth grade, I was like, my brother is an unbelievable jazz pianist, 2 years older than me. And I was just like, fuck this. I'm never going to be as good as Josh. So I'll play drums. And I pivoted to the drum set, and I learned how to do a bunch of different things with both my hands and both my feet all at different times. So being able to multitask with my limbs and have a strong understanding of theory allowed me to like pick up a guitar and literally teach myself based on the theory I knew and occasional YouTube searches for how to do things. And then like finger picking and kind of coming up with those rhythms is just like drumming because you're doing two things with different hands. And I don't know. I love sounds. I like a lot of different sounds. I actually also have I play steel drum very poorly, so it doesn't make the list. But but just I like the different feelings that you can get from different sounds, and I wanted to play with all of them. And my brother and his friends growing up were always jamming in our basement, and whatever instrument wasn't being played by one of his friends, I'd pick up and just take a shot. So I played bass pretty terribly for the first, few months, but always with other people, and that was really great.
I love when people say, I don't have an answer for that, or I don't have a good answer for that. That was a good answer, Harlow. Like, come on.
I haven't spent time on it until just now, but it does. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll take it. I'll take it. I think that was a good answer from my end.
Word.
Awesome.
Well, awesome. This has been great, guys. And you guys are sticking around for the review part, which is going to be fun. But to wrap up the interview part, I just want to ask what details you could give about your upcoming projects that you have coming.
So, I guess we can.
Yeah.
So we have a 5-song EP coming up, and it's going to have 1 single and 1 music video. And what else can we say?
We can't say specifics, but we just signed with an independent label.
Yeah.
And they're going to be supporting us on the release of this. We're going to be releasing our music in a more effective, kind of driven way, and with like a strong marketing plan that we have no idea how to create. And, professionals who are going to help with our media presence and all that kind of stuff. So we feel really excited about getting this music to many more ears and many more people. And I guess the biggest thing we can say about the sounds is that I think we're doing a good job of staying true to our acoustic roots. And we actually have like 1 song that is kind of really frames just like acoustic guitar and vocals. Yep. Kind of feels like the only thing there. And then expanding into this bigger sound, but not having it feel like disconnected. So I hope that when people hear it, they feel that it sounds like Late Night Thoughts. But that makes sense to them.
Wow, congratulations on that. That's huge.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
It's very exciting. More details to come.
Yeah.
More details to come.
Yeah.
Well, for people to get more details, why don't you just give a shout out of where people can find you on social media and things like that?
So you can follow us at latenightthoughts.music on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can go to our website, lntmusic.com. And
why don't you grab a shirt while you're there?
Yeah, you can buy our merch. We've got shirts. We've got hats that say shit happens on them, which is pretty cute. And yeah.
And sign up for our mailing list so that we can tell you when we're playing shows.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Yeah. Brian and Michael, thank you so much. And like I said, we're going to hop into the review after this. So thank you guys again.
Awesome. Thanks,
Our
David.
pleasure.